What's up, guys? It's Chad here. Reviews coming to you from my driveway today. If you've been following on the channel, you know behind me is my 2020 Ram 2500 Power Wagon. And it is a Sunday in December, and it is cold, and I have a project of something that, again, I have to fix on my Ram. So I'm going to show you a little video clip on exactly what the problem is, and I'm going to go over how to fix it. So stay tuned right after this. Here's the deal. All the windows pretty much are all fogged up. This is all on the inside, which means there's condensation buildup inside the truck. I unlocked it here. Nope. All right, inside the truck. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's wet right there. Let me see. It's definitely wet to the touch up here. I'm pretty sure it's coming from the third brake light. Yeah, all this is all wet, and that's obviously why it's getting all condensation inside of here. Let me see. There's also water. There's also water coming in right over here as well, and it's coming in over here on the C-pillar. So hopefully we can figure out exactly where this is coming from before it gets any worse. After that little clip, my first gut reaction is going to be a leak in that third brake light. The 5th gen 1500s are notorious for having window frame failures, but the 5th gen 2500s are known not for that, but for having the third brake light leak. So this is what I am going to attempt to do to fix it. I have gone on Amazon and I have ordered two separate, we'll say gaskets or seals for the third brake light. All you're gonna need is a seal and a Phillips screwdriver, and hopefully that's all, and some alcohol wipes to clean the surface. All right, so I'm gonna link both of these in the description below. Neither of these actually say they are for the 5th gen, the 2019 and ups. However, if you know anything about Ram, the 5th gen 2500s like mine actually share the exact same cab as the 4th gens. Obviously the inside is completely different, but the actual physical cab is the same. So that's why I believe that upon doing searches, I came up with these two. I'm gonna go with this one. This one has like 4.5 stars and has a lot more reviews than this one. This one was like 10 bucks and this one was like 12 bucks. But again, they did cover different years, so we're going to see what we got. So first things first, we're gonna go and unscrew the third brake light and see what we got. On my truck, obviously you can tell I have the updated, or the upgraded third brake light. This is the one with the 360 camera system, so obviously has the camera. It's got a bunch of LEDs in it. Now, you obviously have metal screws, you have a metal cab. The actual frame to this third brake light is plastic. So I'm using just a nice manual screwdriver. Obviously I could use electric, but I wouldn't want to over torque anything and crack this housing. I don't even want to know how much a new one of these is going to cost. But the screws actually have the little plastic washers on them, help with water. So try not to drop these down here because again, you ain't gonna find it. Here's what we're working with. Okay, as you can see, there's definitely some sort of dirt and debris down in the troughs. If water goes down there, it goes into the headliner. If the water goes this way, it goes into the headliner. If the water goes back there, that is the headliner. So yeah, if this seal is not working correctly, the water is just gonna get right into the cab. Now, let's look at this seal. So if you see this seal almost looks like just foam, almost looks like Swiss cheese. Like it's not even really a seal anymore. It looks like it's just kind of rotten away and dissipated. So we're going to try to disconnect this. There's a connector here and some sort of a funky connector here with a little tab on the bottom. I'm going to take those two off and bring this over to the bench. Here we got the third brake light off of the cab. I ended up just removing the connector and the actual camera out of the housing because the little connector that the camera was connected to was not really having it. So just took the camera out of the housing here, much easier. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up everything around this, and we are going to remove the gasket. Before I actually do any gasket removal, I'm going to open up one of these just to make sure that it does indeed do all this stuff in here. Make sure it matches up. Here's what the new gasket looks like. All right, it's definitely nowhere near the coverage of the factory one. And what I mean by that is it doesn't actually go into this little area. It doesn't go up into here. It doesn't go here. It doesn't go here. So I just kind of set this on top. It definitely is going to work for the perimeter. It doesn't have, like I said, however, have this, and those two things. Now, I'd say it's probably a little bit thicker than the factory one might have been. I don't know. It's probably the same foamy material, but I really wish Ram or these aftermarket places would actually use a nice rubber gasket instead of this foam gasket. So I don't know if this is going to work. I got to do something because, like I said, it is leaking and this is falling apart. So got to do something. So I'm going to replace it and show you the process. I peeled the old gasket off. The only problem with this is that it literally left all of the glue still on the actual housing. So what I'm doing is I'm using we'll say a nylon brush. If I have to, I might step it up to like a steel wire brush. But this stuff is actually kind of a pain in the butt to get off. I'm using a little bit of a WD. I have some other stuff, glue gun and whatnot, that I might try. But yeah, I'm having to literally scrape it off with this. And I guess the plastic is this color right here. So we'll try to get all this old gasket material off and get it down to a nice clean housing. Here is what I'm calling the finished product. I scraped this down as much as I possibly could. This might be still residue of the glue that was on there. I can't really get it any lower than that without just like literally destroying or scraping it off with something. But anyways, that's kind of what it comes off. It looks like. Let me jump in the truck real quick. There we go. Okay. So this is kind of what I did. Cleaned it up, used some alcohol wipes. Yeah, you definitely want a clean mating surface when you reinstall that. So yeah, good to go on that. One other tip I recommend you doing is before you reinstall this whole thing, make sure you get in here and clean the inside of this lens if you have the 360 camera. In doing my work, I got some of this black stuff down in there. I used some lens wipes, and I'm going to clean this one more time, and I'm going to clean the actual camera lens before I reinstall it. Again, the orientation of this gasket is going to be like this right here. As you can see, the actual gasket itself definitely sits where it's supposed to sit. Again, it just doesn't have this little part, that little part. But I feel like the actual gasket material is probably thicker than the factory. So it's obviously just a single-sided piece of sticky tape on the back, and then you just press and seal. I'm gonna kind of do that and hold it for probably 30 seconds just to make sure that it is adhered, and we'll get it back up in the truck. Here is the semi-finished product. This is what the gasket, this is how it's sat. Again, it's not 100%. Of course, anything I think from, we'll say China, it's not gonna be 100%, but it sat on the mounting surface just fine. And as long as this is on the mounting surface, the water should not be able to get in as long as you have a good seal. So again, this is what it's supposed to look like. Obviously it didn't. It looked like this garbage. So I'm hoping this will last me another few years until the gasket is eaten away again. Again, every single truck manufacturer has some sort of a leaking issue. Ram is notorious for, well, the 2500s for this third brake light. Again, this is a 2020 and we're almost in 2025. So 4.5+ years, haven't had any issues besides this one. The Fords obviously have the giant sunroof that constantly breaks and leaks. GM has the same issues with leaking in the third brake light and the cab lights. So you're not really gonna get away from it. You just have to mitigate it. I think if my truck was parked in a garage, it'd be better. But I constantly have like leaf and sap debris that's always falling on my truck. So that probably had something to do with it. We got everything all hooked back up. Just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like. Make sure when you're installing this camera back, you install it nice and centered before you tighten it down. Obviously, you just are going to put the wires back in there, line up the holes, and take your 2 screws and tighten them down. Don't tighten them down too much, but you definitely are going to want to make sure that when you're looking back here, that this new seal is all the way seated up against the cab. You don't want it to be too loose so that the water still gets back there. So tighten it down good, but not over tighten. Here's the finished product. I got everything all tightened up. Just wanted to show you. Well, of course, I just wiped it down again with a alcohol wipe. I'm going to put some Rain-X all over the top of this. But I definitely have it cinched down pretty good. I definitely don't see any gaps in the gasket. But I will say a design thing is that the screw hole is actually a little bit further up. It's not perfectly centered. So I do believe that the bottom part of the gasket is not quite getting the same, we'll say, force put on it as the top of it. For good reasons. Obviously, the rain's coming straight down in here, probably getting in through the cracked thing that way. I wish maybe they had 4 bolts, so it has a nice even pull on the gasket all the way around. But make sure before you go do anything or leave that you check to make sure your light and your camera system is working, to make sure you don't have to take it apart and recheck the connections. Next feature I like about my particular truck is that I have the in-bed lighting. So I just hit the button right here. And obviously those 4 big LEDs light up, so I know that's working. Let's go in the cab and check the camera. Let's go check the cargo cam, and it looks like it's working just fine. So good to go on that. The only thing that we test now is wait for a hard rain and see if it continues to leak. I got something I got to do a little bit later on this afternoon, so I'm not just going to hose down the truck and see if it leaks. But I'll come back and we'll see what we got. Well, that concludes my video on how to fix the third brake light leak on your 5th gen Ram 2500 or 3500. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the description below. If you find this content helpful or useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'm here to help you keep your Rams in tip-top shape. All right, bye.